Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my predictions for the upcoming Scottish Premiership, Championship, League One, and League Two campaigns. Now, I'm going to be starting with this video here, which is for League Two. I'm going to then do League One and the Championship and the Scottish Premiership. Am I going to be filming them all today? Yes. Am I going to be uploading them all today? No, I'm going to upload them on a day-to-day basis. However, I am going to be wearing the same thing in every single video because it's all getting filmed on the same day. But essentially, this is my prediction for the upcoming season. It should be noted that when I did these predictions last year, I got pretty close with the Championship. I was not bad with League One. And I was actually, fairly close with the Premiership. But League Two was without a doubt one of the worst predictions I think I've ever done for anything. So I'm just saying, take everything here with a cubic meter of salt. There is a high possibility that I get every single one of these League Two predictions wrong. Nevertheless, we're going to dive straight into the predictions. We're obviously going to start at 10th, work our way up to first, and we will go from there. Also, I am on the TikTok and I'm on Twitch streaming games and stuff. Not all the time, not consistently, but I am sort of there every now and again. So if you are interested, you can find links to those in the description. So, like I say, you should take everything that I'm about to say with a cubic meter of salt, just because the likelihood of these coming in is very, very slim. They will get more accurate and I'd argue better as we go up the leagues. But obviously, we're starting with League Two and finishing bottom of the table this year. I have Elgin City. Perhaps a bit of a shock given their performances last season. They obviously came fourth. They were in the playoffs. They had a relatively good season. But this is coming off of sort of what I feel has been an ineffective transfer window. I thought they had a really, really poor League Cup group. I mean, obviously they had a tough one. It was St Johnstone, Raith Rovers, Inverness, and East Kilbride. It's a fairly tough group to be able to do anything with. You can't really ask for them to do anything with that. But at the same time, a team like East Kilbride, I think you want to try and keep that contest a wee bit closer. And it just was not the case at all. I felt that, Elgin have offered very little so far this season. Perhaps that will change as the season goes on. Perhaps they'll warm to it a little bit better. I don't think they've done enough, and I don't think they have enough to be able to compete. So 10th place, Elgin City. In ninth place, I've gone with Stranraer. Now, there's a few different reasons for this. I watched a couple of their games this season so far with the League Cup performances and stuff. Now, obviously, I haven't watched them live because I was at various other games watching various other League Cup matches. I've watched back highlights, I've read reviews, I've seen footage, and one of the things that I picked up from the from what I've seen and from what I've spoken to fans about and from what I've seen, there is no forward-thinking play from them at all. They're an incredibly defensive unit. They're apparently very well organised and very well drilled. That being said, they have absolutely nothing going forward from what I have seen of them. They have no real opportunities, and obviously I understand it's the league, it's League Two. I'm not expecting it to be the pristine pitches of Celtic Park, but their pitch, even by a League Two standard, is really, really poor. And I think that's the main reason. They'll get some results at home as a result of that, but it's not. They're not a team that I can see causing any kind of serious threat really this year at all. So ninth place, I've gone with Stranraer. In eighth place, I have gone with Annan Athletic. Perhaps a bit of a brave one. Perhaps not one that people will agree with. Obviously, they were relegated through the playoffs last year from League One. I thought they were solid in League One. I thought they were okay, but I think that they were very much overachieving in terms of getting up into League One in the first place, and they met their match. And had it not been for Dumbarton being, given the points deduction, it would have been a much, much closer finish. And I feel like Annan probably would have finished bottom of the league, if not for Dumbarton sort of taking that knock, because I feel like Dumbarton didn't really, whenever I saw them, didn't look like a team that deserved to be in the position they were in. Whereas Annan 100% deserved to be the team in that position. Not as a slight against the club. I think that they were very much overachieving. It's going to be a massive fall from grace. I think from what I've seen of them from last season, they were very sort of underwhelming. And their League Cup performances obviously left a lot to be desired. Just some poor results. Again, not an easy group. St Mirren and United are both, but Forfar, you kind of expect a team that's going to be at the top end of League Two to be competing with a team like Forfar. And if you can't do that, then you're going to be down the bottom end of the table. You're going to struggle. So for me, Annan Athletic, 8th place. In 7th place, I've gone with Edinburgh City. Now, Edinburgh City are obviously a team that has struggled in recent years with financial problems and complications and such. They've had a lot of trouble with these, getting fans in the door. I know my cousin's fiance's dad is a big fan of them, and he was very disappointed to see them relegated. But obviously, they're now in a position where they've kind of stabilised a little bit. That being said, they don't look a very impressive team. They were thoroughly underwhelming in the League Cup groups, and again, I put that to them. They were in the same group as Stranraer, and obviously I put Stranraer further down than them because I thought that Edinburgh City played better than them, from what I watched. And I think that when Edinburgh City played other teams in the group, despite the fact that it's a tough group to get out of, from an Edinburgh City perspective, they were always going to struggle, but they're not, even with that, they're not quite good enough to match the level that's required. So for me, 7th place seems more than fair. In 6th place, I've gone for Forfar Athletic. I think they're a decent wee team. In recent years, have been sort of a bit of a weird one, kind of hard to predict, kind of hard to read what they're going to be like. But I think that in the League Cup groups this year, they've looked relatively solid. Obviously, result against Arbroath, result against Annan. They've done relatively well compared to how we would expect them to be. I think that getting the win against Arbroath was a big one, but getting a point draw, the penalty win over Annan as well was a big help for them. I think that they're very much a team that's going to be just in and around the mid-range. I wouldn't be surprised if they finished anywhere from 4th to 7th. But I don't think they'll be in a relegation battle. I don't think they'll be chasing the title. So for me, 6th place, Forfar Athletic. In 5th place, I've gone with Stirling Albion. Now, Stirling had a ridiculously tough group. They had Hearts, they had Dunfermline, they had Hamilton Accies, and they had a rather resurgent Dumbarton side. For me, I'm looking at this Stirling team and I'm thinking that they're not a terrible team. They're not out of place in League Two. I don't think they belong in League One quite yet. I think when they were there, they did look a little bit out of their depth. I think their relegation was inevitable. But for me, Stirling Albion are a team that will, again, kind of much like Forfar, I wouldn't be surprised if they finished anywhere from 4th to 7th. Just they are a mid-range team. When they have a tough group, no goals and 9 conceded in the League Cup. But, when they were up against what they were, it was always going to be a difficult run for them. So nothing really to comment or add on Stirling, just that I think that they're a mid-range team and that's where they're going to be. So in 5th place, I've got Stirling Albion. In 4th place, I have put the Spartans. I saw Spartans on opening day of the League Cup because I love Ainsley Park. I think it's a brilliant wee ground. If you haven't been before, I would recommend going, especially during sort of the summer months. You can sit on the pitch behind one of the on this little sort of grassy knoll behind one of the goals. It's a brilliant wee day out if you're interested. So I would recommend going. The reason I put Spartans 4th, I thought they looked really good in that game. I thought they played really well. They definitely held their own in the group, and they've sort of kind of made a name for themselves. But they are also being fed by the bigger Edinburgh clubs, which I think is quite interesting. You've got the likes of Hearts and Hibs are looking to try and send players to these teams. Some of the youth projects that are at these the B teams and stuff like that getting sent along to a Spartans to try and develop them, to push them up, to try and get them higher up. Now, obviously, the benefit for Hearts and Hibs is obviously they then get these players back and they're performing well. But they've now got a boost for Spartans to potentially be making a push for a possible title charge in a league campaign where you wouldn't really have been expecting that from them. But because of that, I have got them in a rather solid 4th place position where they will be in the playoff battle. In 3rd place, I have put East Kilbride. Now, East Kilbride, I think everybody obviously remembers from years and years ago when they were up before. I think for me, you look at an East Kilbride just now, you see the amount of money that has been pumped into there. They won the League Cup at a the Lowland League, sorry, at a canter. They then go into the promotion, the Pyramid playoffs. They beat Broder Rangers at a canter, and then they managed to beat Bonnyrigg Rose as well, relatively comfortably. For me, East Kilbride, it's not just a financial thing. It's that they have built quite a strong unit there, and they're looking to continue to develop and continue to grow. They had a really good League Cup campaign, obviously leaving Elgin City in the dust, which is why I've got them bottom of the table. But they were able to keep pace with both Wraith Rovers and Inverness Cally Thistle, teams above them in the league. And of course, I am going to draw attention to that ridiculously late comeback against Wraith Rovers, the 4-2 win with the 3 goals from the 89th minute right the way through to the final whistle. An unbelievable result that no one saw coming. But that's the sort of thing that this East Kilbride side is capable of, and I think that that's why they'll be up there. I don't think they're going to have the consistency to be able to get over the line here. I think, winning the Lowland League at a canter is one thing. When you come into the SPFL, it is a bigger step up, and I think that they will obviously do better than most of the teams in the league. I don't think they've quite got enough to be able to get to the top end of that table, as in like the top spot. In second place, I've gone with Clyde. Now, last season, I watched Clyde and I said, Clyde will be terrible. They will finish down towards the bottom end. And I wasn't far off. Obviously, there's a lot of predictions and stuff go a bit haywire. But I did say before the season started that Clyde were going to be really poor. I think this year, I would feel quite confident if I were a Clyde supporter. Obviously, they are still at New Douglas Park. The whole confusion with Hamilton Accies and Broadwood and Clyde are at New Douglas Park, it makes absolutely no sense to me. But they have done very, very well in a group against higher, tougher teams. They have managed to make a name for themselves. Obviously, the draw with Motherwell was obviously the big sort of, staple result. That was a bit of a shock. Beating Peterhead basically comes at an expectation for a team that's going to be fighting at the top end of League Two, and then drawing with Stenhousemuir as well, again, kind of an expectation for a team that's going to be at the top end of League Two. Now, obviously, they lost to Morton, but Morton did a very, very good job, and the only team that Morton lost to was Motherwell. So, for me, you're looking at a Clyde side that are looking really, really strong here, but not quite as strong as my number one team, Dumbarton. And I'm not going to do a cut for this one. I'm just going to go straight into Dumbarton because we all know who it is. Dumbarton had quite a tough group. Like I say, they had probably one of the toughest groups in the League Cup this year, which was Hearts, Dunfermline, Hamilton Accies, Stirling Albion. Obviously, Hearts very much on track to do very, very well this year down at McInnes. Dunfermline looking a bit resurgent under Neil Lennon, looking really, really positive again. Hamilton Accies unjustly relegated from the Championship, and Stirling Albion, a team that, like I say, sort of mid-range in terms of a League Two finish. Dumbarton managed to get 2 big wins in that group. Now, you can't expect a team like Dumbarton to beat Dunfermline, to beat Hearts. Of course not. But they were faced with a challenge by Hamilton Accies. They were faced with a challenge by Stirling Albion. And for me, that's why I give Dumbarton the edge ahead of Clyde. Because I think that Clyde got some good results against some teams that are in and amongst where they are expected to be. Dumbarton got some good results against teams much, much higher than them. Now, there is an argument as well of what, if that's the case, if that's my basis for it, why have I got East Kilbride third and not in second? My thought process there is just that the money and the form that they are carrying will only get them so far. And I think that you do need the experience of being in the league for a much more regular period to be able to deliver on that, which is why I've got Dumbarton and Clyde ahead of East Kilbride, but I still think that East Kilbride will still be at the top end of that. I understand that East Kilbride are clear favourites, but I don't think this is going to be like a Wrexham situation where they've just buy their way through the leagues. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think that, obviously they've got a lot of money, they've got some good form, but they're not just going to buy their way from promotion to promotion to promotion. They will improve as the games go on, and they will, continue to get better. And there's no guarantee, there's no saying that they don't wind up getting promoted next year, or even perhaps through the playoffs, which is something that I'm going to discuss in my next video, because I'm not going to do that until I reveal who is down the bottom end of the League One table. But anyway, as you can see beside me, that is the completed table there. Hopefully, these predictions will come true. I do intend on reacting to them come the end of the season, because my thought process is that it's going to be terrible. This is the only one that I'm going to look at and say with absolute confidence, I have absolutely no idea how this is going to go. This could be the worst prediction you have ever seen in your life, but it could be bang accurate. And the pure and simple reason is that whilst I do pay attention to a lot of League Two football and I do watch a lot of League Two football, I've completed 40 out of the 42. The only two I've got left to do are Cove Rangers and East Kilbride. I have completed most of the 42. I've seen a lot of League Two football, but you'd be surprised at how poor I am at predicting results for League Two teams. But yes, I don't know if people are going to agree with me or disagree with me. Obviously, it's a debate, so please feel free to leave whatever complaints you have in the comments about why I've deliberately put your team down the bottom end of the table, or why I've deliberately picked this team to go get promoted when your team is very clearly better, and things like that. Or perhaps you're just here to call me an idiot because I haven't put East Kilbride top of the league. Maybe you're here to say something nice. You're going to go, you know what? That's a nice prediction. I like that. Whatever it is that you're here to do, please feel free to drop a wee comment or share it about, and feel free to laugh at me for it. Feel free to come back to this video in 6 months' time when East Kilbride and Clyde are battling it out for 9th and 10th down the bottom end of the table, whilst Elgin are romping away to the title. You never know. You never know how it's going to go. But that's the point of predictions. They are predictions. They're not meant to. I'm not. A genius. I'm not some kind of psychic. I'm just some random bloke on the internet saying what's in his head. That's kind of it. But thank you all for watching. Like I say, please leave your own thoughts down in the comments, your own predictions, your own sort of comments on what it is that I've done. And yes, I will be shortly putting up my League One predictions, which will hopefully be far, far more accurate than what I suspect this is going to be.